Hi, friends. Happy Thursday. I am Heather Jones with Enchantment Creek Apothecary. Hello to those of you who do not see my face and hear my voice on a regular basis. I am striving towards feeling comfortable with this modality of communication with you guys, that being video and voice, because I want to be able to reach as many people as possible. And during this time, this shifting time, I know that is becoming increasingly more difficult. And so I'm opening myself up to getting to know technology a little more intimately, even though we don't always speak the same language. I just want to give you a little background for those of you who do not know me. I am an herbalist. I've been working with medicinal plants for 15 years, clinically as well as spiritually. So I'm a very much science meets spirit type herbalist. I'm a farmer. I live in Wyoming with my husband. We raise cattle for beef. We raise chickens, eggs, and meat birds. We raise a few pigs for the family. We do a lot of big farmscape stuff, and then my sweet project here at our house where we live is growing medicinal plants, food, and creating potent, beautiful, pure medicinal herbal extracts. I have a sweet little commercial kitchen where I make all these things, and 5,000 square feet of greenhouses, and I have a field that I'm going to slowly be taking over, creating a medicine and food forest here in the Bighorn Basin, outside of Cody, outside of Yellowstone. We're in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. It's quite magical. We are having an incredible blizzard outside today, so I'm taking the slow time I have today to chat with you guys and connect with you in this new space that I have. I am so excited. It's very strange for me, but I am very excited and feeling ready. I've been being pushed to do this for a while. So a big part of my work, those of you that know me know this about me, I am some sort of spirit facilitator, communicator person. I am able to hear and feel the plants, spirit guides, well ancestors, etc., even collective messages from the collective subconscious and the divine come through to me. And I want to send these messages out because they are not just for me, and I want to help you understand that we are all spiritual divine beings. We all have the capacity to understand energetics, to communicate with spirit allies, with plant allies in this way. And I hope by making videos like these that I will be able to connect with more of you and encourage more of you to understand that that is an innate part of your humanness. So something that has been a common thread lately is varying amounts of anxiety and stress. I am definitely feeling them within my own existence, but also feeling stressors and a lot of anxiety that I know is not of my body. And I'm very sensitive to all of these things. And I feel that the collective is experiencing an immense amount of stress and anxiety. And a little bit more about my experience with these things. I work with a lot of plants for nourishing the stress responses, bringing us back into our bodies, because I was able to heal myself from PTSD that was diagnosed, severe anxiety and stress, somewhat depression. with plants and communicating with spirit allies that come through them, and the spirit allies of the collective subconscious, the divine energies of the universe, creator, whoever you want to call that, that's fine. But that's all available to us. We can communicate with these things as we feel we need to. So I wanted to talk about a very special plant ally of mine that I work with for nourishing these kinds of anxious responses. And the kind of anxiety that I have been really feeling lately has been the kind where we forget we're grounded on the earth. We forget that our skin and our bodies are holding us. And most importantly, when we forget these two components, we are forgetting that we are spiritual beings, that we are divine beings, that we have creator energy inside of ourselves all the time. When these anxieties, when these stressors, when these depressive states come and begin to take over our bodies, we are completely disconnecting from that. We're completely disconnecting from our divine essence, from what we are as human beings on this planet. And this plant I want to talk to you about today reminds us that we are safe in our bodies, reminds us that we are grounded into the earth, that we have roots that are connected to the mycelium, they are connected to the massive trees all around us, to the grass, to the plants, to the shrubs, to each other in this capacity. This plant, Pulsatilla, she brings us back into our bodies. She takes us from floating away out here to be inside of our divine cells, our divine skin, our divine roots that keep us grounded into the earth. That is what this beautiful plant I wanted to talk to you about today does. And I do want to say, because I was one who really struggled with anxiety and was diagnosed formally with PTSD. I did not take drugs because I've never felt resonance with taking those. I nourished myself with plants, and this plant was powerful for me. But the point I wanted to make is I never want you to feel that your power is taken. The plants are here to support our healing, to nourish our healing, to remind us that we are the ones. We hold all of this all of the time. We can take a breath. We can talk to our plant allies. We can even just hold this bottle and remember that we are the ones that hold the ability, we have the strength, we have the power inside of our bodies to ground again, to come back into our bodies, to know that we are safe. It is not the plants. I don't want you to give your beautiful power away as a human being. I don't want to take your power as an herbalist. I just want to facilitate the understanding that we are innately connected to these plants, and that we are meant to work with these plants. We are nature just as they are, and we are here together. They are here for us together. So, Pulsatilla, Anemone patens, is the species that I work with here in the Rockies. She is a beautiful introduction to spring. So when I'm harvesting her, she's normally growing around 8,000 to 10,000 feet. I've seen her higher, I've seen her lower. There are lots of species of this plant family, the ranunculate plant family. Buttercups and crocuses are in this family. They grow all over the place, and they're always a welcoming sign that spring is here, that spring has come, that we are awakening again and that the earth is awakening again. So when I'm harvesting this plant up high, I'm usually still in a winter coat, even though it is spring down in the lowlands, like I'm germinating seeds in the greenhouses. The perennials are coming up out of the ground in the gardens outside. I am harvesting Pulsatilla in a winter coat at high elevation. And she is coming out of the snow a lot of the times. She is literally physically coming out of snow drifts. She's popping up around snow drifts that are still melting out, but the ground is still going through that thawing and freezing and thawing and freezing during the day and the nighttime. And there she is, welcoming us with her beautiful presence. And I love this about her. She's always my first wild harvested plant. She brings an excitement of like, yes, the season is coming, the season of growth and abundance and buzzing and harvesting and being outside in the warm sun, smelling the trees, releasing their sap. She is the sign of all of that happening. And I love her for that. I love her for that. But she goes to seed very quickly. And her seed head is what really talks to me about her ability to release. She has this seed head with seeds that are stuck to her center, and then they have a strong, fluffy, fuzzy tail. And when the springtime winds are still blowing, the later springtime winds, those seed heads release and they let go to the wind. And at the same time, her sweet little flower head is nodding in thanks and gratitude to the wind as she lets go. She lets go of herself even, doesn't she, in this way? And I love that about her. I love that not only does she remind us that we are safe in our bodies, that we are grounded to the earth, but she reminds us that it is okay to let go of the traumas that are keeping us locked in these patterns of unrest. She reminds us that we hold that power. She's not saying, I am the one. She is showing us the way instead, saying, nodding to those winds of change, nodding to the experience, saying thank you with great resonance and gratitude for the experiences that have shifted us so much, that have broken us open, not broken us, but broken us open to understanding the safety of letting go, to understanding the safety that is within our bodies and ourselves, to understanding that being grounded into the earth is our absolute birthright. It's birthright. Pulsatilla reminds us of these things. And she encourages us to say yes to them. She reminds us that we can say yes to them. So this sweet flower and her honoring of our experiences as humans on this earth, right? So the anxiety that I love to apply her to is the kind where, like I've been saying, we are out of our bodies. Our skin is no longer holding us. We are floating away. Our roots are not connected to the ground anymore. And we are floating off into space. We are not nourished inside of our bodies, or feeling not nourished inside of our bodies. We are not feeling held to the ground because our experiences of trauma, our experiences of pain and depression and division are taking over our minds. They're taking over our feelings, and we are letting them run us away. We are leaving our bodies. That is the kind of anxiety. And a lot of times I think these kinds of anxieties come with social situations. They come with, for me, leaving the farm and going to like Billings, the big city for us. I usually have my Pulsatilla in my pocket because there's a lot of energy floating around in a big city versus living on a farm with my husband and our fur family and his family who lives up the street. Very close, very connected, but a very small group of people. And going from those two extremes is still hard for me. I love our quiet little farm life, but going to Billings is fine too. Going to visit my family on the West Coast is great. But that's the kind of anxiety that Pulsatilla reminds us that we have the power to come back from, right? So we're leaving our bodies, we're losing our breath probably. We are not connected to the ground anymore. We are floating away. And Pulsatilla, she brings us back in. She says, remember who you are. Remember where you are. Remember that you're connected to the ground. Remember all of these things. And she helps us to say, yes, I do have the strength. I have the power within myself to remember those things, to say yes to those things, to say, I am going to choose to work with your letting go, grounding, spiritual energy, and I'm going to say yes to them, that I can do them in these moments when I'm having the anxiety. And you take a breath, you take your few drops of Pulsatilla, and you come back into your body. And you come back into your body feeling warm, feeling calm, feeling grounded. And the grounded part is my favorite part because that floating away is very uncomfortable. So Pulsatilla, being a ranunculate family plant, she is one to be mindful when we're taking her. All of this comes on the bottle that I send out to people. But I always like to make sure that it's reiterated that taking too much of this plant can be harmful. I'm not talking like death harmful, but I'm talking like shortness of breath, like the opposite effects of what we might want to experience from taking Pulsatilla. A headache, slight stomach upset, can be damaging to tissues, but that's why we take her in very mindful doses. So those of you who take tinctures already on a regular basis, you know what a tincture bottle looks like. These sweet little amber bottles with this eyedropper on the top. So when we squeeze the eyedropper and we release, that is going to take up usually about a milliliter. And I think you can see the level there. So that's about a milliliter, and that's about what a eyedropper is going to take up. So for this drop dose herb, you are taking literally drops, physically, literally drops. And you're taking 4 to 6 of them at a time, depending on how you feel is necessary for you. And we're going to use this sweet little cup that our hands have for drop dose herbs, I believe. So we put our hand like this, put your pointer finger and your thumb together. And those of you who take essential oils probably already know this little tiny cup exists because that's where we put little drops. So the little tiny cup is this divot right here between your pointer finger and your thumb. There's a little cup, and when you hold it, kind of tilt it to where your own cup may be level. And we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 literal drops and into the mouth. She even tastes soft. She's gorgeous. I feel spring. I feel sunshine. I feel warm. But most of all, I feel that breath of ease, that letting go. And that's one of the reasons I love her so very much. This beautiful, beautiful flowering herb that is so cute and fuzzy. I'll be talking about her in just a couple of months. It's kind of nice to be speaking about this flowering plant in the midst of the blizzard that we are in today, this week, really. But that's what I wanted to discuss with you guys today. And I want you to know that it is not just you. There are so many people who are experiencing these feelings of unrest, and it's making a lot of us incredibly uncomfortable. It's making a lot of us have intense, triggering emotions, and that is also okay, and I want to talk about that a little more in a little while.